Okay, so we'll make it a bit shorter this week. So Kadosh, 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 Shem Tzvakos, Melech Haaretz Kibodom. Actually, your whole pasuk you're supposed to read it the Shem Hashem. Kadosh, 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 Anay Tzvos Melech Haaretz Kibodom. So Dober Shalom says the basic principle of the Kadosh is Abshus Barak Kadosh Umuvdal Umufla. Even though Hashem is holy, which he understands as separate and beyond Olam HaShafel, this low world. He's also above and beyond the world of the constellations. I think we saw this last week. Because the world is full of his cover. So that has to be noted last week, the paradox. And even though he is very, very much removed from this world, nevertheless, he is involved in this world. His covenant is in the world. And as you mentioned last week, that saying Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere is not because, but saying Hashem's covenant is here, Hashem's covenant there, Hashem's covenant is everywhere. That is what we are saying here. Let's see the Eitz Yosef, which I don't think we saw last week. Kadosh, 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 Gimel Bamim. It says 3 times, like Dilainyon, to exaggerate or emphasize the concept that there's nothing above him. Anytime we want to exaggerate a point, so we say 3 times. And anytime, I don't know if exaggerate is the right term, let's say stress a point. I say 3 times. That's a lot of things in davening. I was supposed to say 3 times. It's an emphasis. It's a stress. So here too, come on, Melech Malchi Amlachim, right? We say Melech Malchi Amlachim is said 3 times, right? Melech Malchi Amlachim, same idea. If you just say things just twice, that just means there's one is greater than the other, and it doesn't manifest. It doesn't show something which is above and beyond, because everything in this world is not precisely equal. So one on top of the other, that's natural. But one on top of another, that's something which is really special. That's the best way of putting it. That's why Malchei Eretz HaMoshe Kippah, if you have emperors who are particularly powerful, they're called Melech Malchayim. In Kari Bon will say Antu Melech Antu Melech Azaka Kari Bon Olam Maya Antu Melech. So you say Melech Malchayos. That's only twice. I don't know. Okay. If I remember Kari Bon correctly, the Zemer, it says in Kari Bon, no, it says Antu Malka Melech Malchaya. It says it 3 times. Antu Malka Melech Malchaya. You are Melech above the super kings. Super kings are Melech Malchaya. You're a Malka above the Melech Malchaya. You girls never seen Kari Bon? Don't know what it says there. The Chol Kayotz is there. Anything similar? Okay. Hashem Tzvakos, who hoveh mispashi b'chol tzvaos. Now, the first person to call Hashem Tzvakos was Chana in the Tefillah after the birth of Shmuel. But the name Tzvakos, which was given by Chana, represents the word Tzvaos, right? Which is which means armies or hosts. And the Hashem, even though he's tremendously removed from the world, he has many armies, many hosts, as they say in fancy English, in this world. And these are all part and parcel of his covered in the world, that he has all his tzvakos, both above in Shemayim, the Malachim, and below on earth, us. So who means he exists and he expands the tzvos. In all the armies, in all the hordes, Kulam Kadoshim, and all of them, he's holy. Again, the paradox. He's in all those hordes, and yet at the same time, he's separate from all of them. The land is illuminated from his honor. So he says that what he wants to say is that the world below doesn't have the same type of covenant. I'm not sure he sees this in the pasuk, is that in the world below here, it's not the same as on high. It says, but he says, there's a light, but it's not as expansive as on high. That's why human beings don't live forever. They have their free choice, free will. The Yitzhar and the Yitzhar controls them. But nevertheless, King Hashem's kingship controls everything, but don't really him, and he's a master upon it. He's Ad Al Dal Nun Yud. Aleph Dal Nun Yud means a master, right? Va'aretz Va'avaya Yud Kevav Ke B'Shamayim. The revelation of Shemaim is always much greater. Malachim don't sin as a matter of principle, not because they're malachim, but because they're Shemaim. It's possible malachim, this is according to most authorities. Some people argue, say malachim can never sin, but these malachim can sin if they come into this world and take on human form. So the point is that normally they don't sin because they're in the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. How are you going to sin if you're in the presence of Hashem? With this from Hashem, that's when the power, the capacity to forget about Hashem, and sin comes about. So in Shamayim, that level of revelation of Hashem is called Yud Kei Vav Kei. And that only very occasionally comes down to this world, as mentioned in the past, in outright miracles. Very, very rarely revealed here. The world, therefore, the name we use, we don't read that Yud Kei Vav Kei, we say Aleph Dal Nun Yud. Aleph Dal Yud is the name we can perceive of Hashem here as a master. And he's in charge. So that's what he says, V'zel kvoda machuso. So he wants to say, I'm not sure I'm so happy with this chat, but it's certainly a chat. As it says, Meloko, it's kvodo is his machus. Baruch shen kvo machus and v'et shomim achar yichud. B'chashai. We talked about this in the past. So shen kvo machus and v'et we say in an undertone because it represents a lower level. The first pasuk of Shema represents Yud Kei Vav Kei, a higher level revelation. The second pasuk of Shema represents it's not really a pasuk. Second statement of Shema is a lower level, kvod malchuso. So we want to say that however HaKadosh Baruch Hu is revealed in Shemayim, in Oretz you don't have that. All you have is kvod malchuso. So the way he really is understanding this pasuk is there's 3 parts to it. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh means that the holiness is extraordinary. Hashem Tzvakos means he is Yud Kei Vav Kei. In Tzvaos, he's learning here is Tzvaos Hashemayim. This is among the Malachim. And then Malach Laretz Kevodo is among us on earth. So among the Malachim, who is understanding here be the Tzvaos, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is much more revealed, the level of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Thus, it's only Mole Kolam Kvodo. Let's see what he says here. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh says the Tefillah. These Gavum Rama Lama Masazeh. These Gavum Rama Malos Vamazos. It's really basically like the show. It's above and beyond this world, above and beyond the world of the stars and constellations. This Gavum Rama is above and beyond the world of the angels, the abstract intellects. That's right. Daka V'Drum Be'Mer Al Dabi Sev they'll say this. Okay. And the comments to Shmoneh Birchas HaKadosh. Fi Targum Yonasan Perusho means Kadosh B'Shamayim, Kadosh B'Aretz, Kadosh B'Olam Haba. He's only on the earth. He's only in the world in the heavens. It's interesting the order. Only in Shamayim, in heaven, on earth, and then Olam Haba. Zori Mamar Dalasim Gimel Kadosh Inyano Shunikdash Muramam Mishtavus Lo Mida Saburim. He is tremendously beyond any comparison to any trait of any created entity. As I mentioned to you the past, Shimon Shkop says, and I believe this is the main shot of the word Kadosh. means to be designated and devoted. Hashem is designated and devoted to this, to his creatures. So I mean, a very different way. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh means Hashem is devoted to all these worlds, to the worlds of Malachim, to the worlds of the constellations and the stars, aerospace, and to our world. So again, it's not a contradiction, and you can learn either way. And Shivim Palim the Torah. Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh can mean he's very above and beyond, but Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh can also mean that he's designated, devoted, and involved with being making, finding the best and doing the best for all the levels of creation. So a very different shot. Again, both of them work. Okay, so Malay Ka'aretz Kvodo. Ka'aretz made out Shlemusa. The entire world indicates Hashem's perfection. Klamar Toreh Alav. It indicates it. So that's what I have to say. I'm not sure exactly why he highlights that. But let's see. V'chein Amru B'kvar Hashem Alei Mishkan. It says Hashem's. Okay, I understand what he's saying. He says what he wants to say is this is based on the Rambam. That's not the Pasuk that Pasuk. He says that in other words, you might think Kavod Hashem means like the Shechina, that you have a cloud, right? Amud Anan during the day, Amud Eish Balayla, and that's the Kavod Hashem. So he says, no, that's not Kavod Hashem. We're talking about here. Kavod Hashem we're talking about here is the world's perfection, the world's intricate and elaborate and extraordinary machinery, and the wonders and awesome functions of everything. That is the Kavod Hashem. Kavod Hashem means it's not. I can show you a pillar of smoke. Torah means it indicates it. You can derive from the way the world is how great the existence and the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So interestingly, he says, we also understand that pasuk, at least I always understood pasuk, as referring to the cloud. There's a big cloud in the Mishkan. He said a cloud, like the Onan. But he said, Rambam is saying no. The experience of being in the Mishkan indicated to a person who was there the honor of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In other words, you sensed something there. It's not that you saw, you sensed. It's like saying his praise. The land is full of his praise. Because praise is called honor. Because that's his pshat based on Rambam. But the Rabbeinu Pirshu Ashkinas Elokus Baruch. The Chazal interpreted on the Shekhinah, on the divine presence. Like we said that it's talking about. It's true you can't see the cloud, but there's the Shekhinah, there's the divine presence on earth, and that's therefore they said, somebody who walks a ramrod straight in a way which is arrogant. I feel down Amos, even for Amos, it's as if he's pushing the feet of the Shekhinah out of this world. You see, because the Shekhinah is everywhere. He wouldn't work for Amos with an uncovered head. So the Shekhinah is above my head. Hashem's courtyard is both on high and below. I'm full in the heavens and earth. I am full in the heavens and the earth. A human being builds a house which is 50 amos high. And if it's taller, if it's a real house, real tall house, it's 100 amos high. If it kolo kishlosh amos. Kolo kishlosh amos. Which means that? Kulo kishlosh amos. It's all like 3 amos. I don't know what that means by that. Kulo kishlosh amos. Oh, okay. And man ends up in the ground in a grave. 3 amos, lying 3 amos. No. well, I don't know if it's in the grave. It's saying Kul Shlosh Amos, the entire height of man is 3 amos. Right? In other words, you can't fill an entire house. That's what it means. No, not the grave. That would be by dollar amos. He says Kul Shlosh Amos ad Rosho, a human being up to his head is 3 amos tall, more or less. And a person builds a house, 50 amos high, 100 amos high, he can't occupy the whole house. He fills it. It says that means he fills it. And that's how the Mekubalim understand it. So what the Mekubalim say is that the divine presence is here. You just can't sense it in most places, and you can't sense it unless you have the capacity to, which most people don't have. They don't have the sensitivity to sense it. Or certain places or anywhere people can sense it more. You go to a shul, you go to the Bekosel, you go to a place like other holy places. So then you can sense the Shekhinah more. But the Shekhinah is there everywhere. It's just that you don't have access to it. And certain places you're not allowed to access it. So, for example, a person could say, okay, but the Shekhinah is everywhere. I can daven in the bathroom. But you're not allowed to daven in the bathroom because you're not supposed to try and sense the Shekhinah in the bathroom. So what he means is that there is a way of recognizing Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world, which is actually tangible, not just that you can see as signs of Hashem, but you can sense your connection with Hashem. Now, I have to tell you, there's a machlokes Rambam and Ramban about the Shekhinah when it appears in the form of the pillar of fire or the pillar of smoke. Whether you can bow down and dive into that. Is the Shekhinah an extension of Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world, or is the Shekhinah just a representation of Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world? If the Shekhinah is an extension of Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world, it means that actually you can dive into the Shekhinah. If a Shekhinah is just a representation of Hashem in this world, then it would be Avodah Zarah to dive into the Shekhinah. So whether you can bow down in form of Avodah to the Shekhinah or not depends on whether you learn like the Rambam that it's just a representation of Hashem, like Ramban that it's so to speak an extension of Hashem into this world. The proper English term is a ramification of a Kadosh Baruch Hu into this world. It's much easier to understand like the Rambam. It's very hard to understand like the Ramban. But because according to the Rambam, makes sense. Can't have a physical extension, ramification of Kadosh Baruch Hu. It can only be a mashal, a representation. But the Ramban says that no, this is the way in which Kadosh Baruch Hu reveals his existence, even though it's not him, and therefore you can dive into the Shekhinah. So it is important to note that the word Shekhinah is the only name which you give a Kadosh Baruch Hu if it's, again, the name of Hashem, like the Ramban. According to the Rambam, Shekhinah just means the representation of Hashem. It's not Hashem himself. According to the Ramban, it's referring to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. So the Shekhinah is the only name of Kadosh Baruch Hu which is feminine. Not because, and it was, as I think I probably mentioned the past, masculine and feminine in Kabbalah and in philosophy don't mean male and female. They mean giving and receiving. So all the names of a Kadosh Baruch Hu are giving names. That's why they're all masculine. And the name of Kadosh Baruch Hu of Shekhinah is feminine because it receives from us. In other words, the amount of Shekhinah which is in the world is in direct proportion to the amount that we seek to bring Shekhinah into the world. And so he's saying that, we say Hashem tzilcha. Hashem is your reflection. The more you come closer to Kadosh Baruch Hu, the closer Kadosh Baruch Hu comes to you. So therefore, the Shekhinah is contingent on us. All the other Shemas of Hashem are not contingent on us. They don't depend on us. The Shekhinah depends on us. The more that we could try to connect to Hashem, the more we can sense the presence of Kadosh Baruch Hu in this world. So what he's saying is, again, two types of cover, two perspectives on cover. 1% cover. The first one is that you see the cover of Hashem in all the creation. Morabu Masech Hashem Kulam Chachma Sisa. That's the cover of Hashem. The other is that there is, and the Mekubalim called the Rishimu. There's a Roshem, like a faint mark of a Kadosh Baruch Hu, which is present throughout the world, which if you have the sensitivity, you can tap into. Not Kadosh Baruch Hu spatial, but there's a holiness which is the holiness of Hashem, which you can connect to, which is sometimes manifest in a tangible way with the smoke or with the anan or with the aish, but which you can feel in certain places and if you're a certain madrega. So as they say, that's a more mystical shot in cover. And the idea behind the idea in that is that you, wherever you go, you should feel should be Hashem and Tummy, right? HaKadosh Baruch is in front of me because the Shekhinah is here. Hopefully, whether I can sense or not, maybe I can, but the Shekhinah is there. Okay, so I think we'll stop here for today, and we'll continue with the next part next week with Hashem. Okay, have a good night.
Thank you.
Goodbye.